Okay, we're live. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third edition of the Sharjah Film Platform. My name is Yazan Ghazawi, and I'm the head of Film at SA Institute Dubai. It's my pleasure to be moderating today's panel on the sustainable infrastructures for independent filmmaking. Our panel today acknowledges the complexities of independent film production and the challenges of building and supporting sustainable production companies. The talk today will propose possible solutions and recommendations for artists, for filmmakers, and institutions funding film industry activities. To help us dive deeper into the discussion, it's my pleasure to introduce you today to our panelists. So first off, we have Tedy, Tudor, Necula, who's a Romanian producer and director dedicated to a unique inspirational style of filmmaking. Tedy has created over 40 inspirational campaigns and documentary films aiming commercial or social projects around Europe, and his portfolio boasts brands like UNICEF, European Council, Fan Courier, IBM, and P&G. Tedy is also the only disabled filmmaker in Romania and will provide us with a unique perspective today. Thank you, Tedy, for being with us.
Thank you.
And our second panelist for today is Cenk Ertürk. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. A Turkish film director. His debut film, Noah Land, premiered at the prestigious Tribeca Film Festival and opened up huge avenues of success for him. He's a graduate of Tisch NYU, where he made the short film version of his debut feature. The short won a Wasserman Award, and he received a support letter from Academy Award nominated director Darren Aronofsky, who was teaching at NYU at the time, and he's an established independent filmmaker. Welcome, Cenk.
My pleasure.
Okay, so thank you for being with us today. I'd like to start off by highlighting the unique and different experiences both of you have in relation to independent filmmaking. Tedy, you've worked both commercially and independently, while Cenk, you've worked mainly as an independent filmmaker from what I can see. So I'll start with you, Tedy. How would you compare the production process in both scenarios, commercial versus independent, for you?
Like when you write a one-page blog or a book.
Okay.
And the challenges that you have in both of these. See, I started, let's say, when I was 12 by playing in a film. And for a disabled child in Romania at that time, almost 20 years ago, was wow. And I developed this by working a lot in NGOs as a volunteer or human rights process, let's say like this. And I started to make films because I liked the way of changing somebody in good, because all the NGOs want to deliver a social positive message. And I said, okay, let's do it with the camera. So I started with this niche of speaking for them, but in a positive way, because when I started in high school, there were a lot of campaigns and agencies who delivered only negative messages when we're coming to social field. And when you want to help somebody to change, you have to deliver it positive, because we all know the negative part. And of course, going from this, which were small projects like documentaries or 30 seconds TV ads for social things, going from this to a whole film was a big journey, because it took me, let's say, 7 years to do my first inspirational film, and my only chance to do it is the thing that I was working as a, let's say, working speaker, inspirational speaker for brands, for businesses, so they knew me, and I also delivered them some inspirational video campaigns. Yeah, when we express the essence, the human essence in the brand. And of course, because you love people, as all the brands does now, you want to get along with the film project that is also for expressing the human essence. And
Mhm.
somehow my way of doing is by putting the business together. Why? Because when you are at your first film and you don't have very, big prizes here in Romania, the state, let's say, wouldn't support you. And
Mhm.
also because I believe for myself that I'm an entrepreneur in creative industries, I like to involve businesses in this because it's business in the end.
Mhm.
Of course, we deliver human messages, social things, positivity, but in the end, it's business. It's about investment and the return
Mhm.
of investment. So, looking to this like this helped me to approach the businesses as well. So, I managed to go from the one-page blog to my first book.
Wow. Okay. I suppose one of the big challenges, is that we all go into the industry to pursue a passion, for telling stories visually. And the challenge, I would say, for us is to kind of figure out how we want to tell the stories we want to tell, but also how to contend with the stories that, we tell that pay us money, essentially. And very often these philosophies collide. So, Cenk, let me ask you this. Can you speak to this experience as an independent filmmaker?
Um, like when first I was in Turkey 10 years ago, and I was studying economics, and I was dreaming to be a professor in economics. Then I took this elective film course. Then it changed my life, and I wanted to be a filmmaker, which I realized was a passion. Writing was a passion, but then it turned to filmmaking. And then I wanted to have an education in film because I didn't have enough knowledge about it. And I had chance before taking a formal education in New York University. I had chance to work as director's assistant in Turkey for independent film productions, actually. Then I said, okay, I'm going to save some money and I will go to the United States. Then I will apply to universities. Then I will get accepted, hopefully. Then I will study film and I will combine my knowledge in economics and my analytical thinking with filmmaking. Hopefully, it's going to help me in the end. So I was lucky enough. So my way, first I went to Los Angeles, and then I went to New York, and I studied film with very important professors and very important classmates, actually. I call important because I learned a lot from almost all of them, from my friends, more than I learned from my professors. So when we were there, our aim to the New York University has this goal to make a filmmaker out of you, so you know every field of the filmmaking, as a producer, as a gaffer, as a production designer, or a costume designer, sound. So we do every job for each other, so we have an overall understanding of what the process is. I'm very grateful for that because sometimes I'm facing some unexpected problems, issues while we are making a film as a director and writer. And then I remember immediately, okay, now I have to take my producer's hat, or now I have to take my sound guy or electrician, bass boy's head, and I have to approach this problem this way. So we were making short films for each other, and we were producing and doing every position, every key position for each other. So when I was graduating, I had enough experience in set as in every different position. The last year we were developing this feature film in a workshop environment, and Narnovsky was teaching. So at the end of the second year, he picked 12 students. He wanted all the students write an intention letter. So he read our intention letters, and then he picked the 12 students, and I was lucky enough to be one of those. And then we started workshopping our script and scenes in his class. And then we were making some scenes with real actors in front of the audience. And Darren was criticizing how we write or how we direct the actors. And I learned a lot from that. And then he supported me with a letter, which really helped me later for raising money, because my film is a bit different than like some other Turkish films recently made in Turkey, because like I don't have any public funding from Turkey. Like we raise money mostly like from private investors, thanks to Darren's like letter. And we have some public funding because it's a co-production from Germany and Greece. And then like I found myself in Cannes Film Festival's Cine Fondation residence, like developing my script there, improving the script there before the production. And I was lucky enough to also leave the like same residence with other 5 filmmakers who made like beautiful films last couple of years. And then like in 2017, like fall, like I was making the film. And like I produced an independent film before in the United States for a friend of mine. And I was really aware of the challenges, like as a producer, because I was on the producer side. But when I was doing the film as a director, writer, and also a producer of this film, I realized the challenges are like never end. So it's always, they always refresh themselves, and like you always find like different challenges in front of you. So all these experience, which is bringing me to that point, really helped me a lot to deal with those challenges and issues. But of course, like it's still happening, and it's beautiful to like face with them and being creative to find like solutions for them. So this is how we like come to make like Noah Land, and then the challenges are still going actually. Like in the next minutes, I would like to talk about what challenges we are dealing with.
Of course. So, Tedy, let me ask you this. What is your experience as an independent filmmaker in Romania, specifically with regards to funding opportunities? Are they made abundant for you as a Romanian filmmaker? Are there special funds, you know, for disabled artists, opportunities? Could you speak to us about that?
I wish they would be. No, I mean, it's the same challenge like everywhere else. More than that, it's a challenge because, you know, Romania doesn't feel that cinema is an industry, but it is an art house. See, we came from a system when in the communist era there were only public funds, and all the, you know, graduates from the film university were going to make their films only with, you know, the state communist funds. Right now, you are like an entrepreneur. And even if you want to get the funds from the institutions, of course, it's about networking. And networking is about business. So I can't afford to think myself only as a director, but as a producer, which is completely different to the art of the film. It's about being a businessman. What my experience was to learn networking fast and to learn to network with the decision people, even in the businesses with marketing budgets or CSR budgets, or to network to the decision people in ministries. For my first film, as I've told you, we had all the coverage from businesses. Even our 60 cities tour that we had with our film was funded by Kaufland, a big, commercial shop chain here in Romania and in Europe. But because before this film, I did a lot of documentaries on the same direction of inspiration, but on the social fields like prison for women or orphanages or you name it, any kind of social thing. And I had this goal of finding positive in any story. This helped me as a portfolio. And what other thing helped me and this is available here in Romania, America, or wherever else, is that I took a 2-day course with a professor from Hollywood Institute who actually teaches you how to make your first feature film with 5,000 euros. His name is, I can't remember right now, but the course is named 2 Days Film School. And he says like this: before you ask money, you have to show that you are capable of doing that film. So you take some actors, you put in one single place, and you shoot that film. Because once you have what to show, then you can ask for it. You know, I didn't want to have only 4 or 5 actors. I had 50 actors in one place, like a subway wagon. But somehow hearing himself to talk to me about, to us, the students, how easy it is to make it if you really want to make the step. And if you really want to make a good first step that will give you follow-up, was easy for me to calibrate the brain. Why? Because if in high school I was doing 4, 5, 6 short films a year, and I was not thinking of do I have budget or don't I have budget. I was writing, I was shooting, I was releasing locally. But when I asked myself, am I able to do this production-wise? Am I able to raise the money? Well, these were the troubles that came in. But if you switch your mind into, thinking as a businessman, but also as a director who has to have something to show something to prove, it's much easier to deliver yourself quickly. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. I think funding is a big challenge, and I think that of course we have to be very creative with the way that we, find these funds, and as well with the way that we spend them.
Yeah.
Cenk, what is your experience as an independent filmmaker in Turkey? Turkey, of course, is a place that is saturated with mainstream content. In the Arab world, of course, we are familiar with a lot of the Turkish soap operas, as they call them, or Turkish TV series of different genres. But for you as an independent filmmaker, how are you able to carve out a space for your stories, and how does that translate from a funding perspective?
Mm-hmm. So when I when I returned to Turkey after 9-10 years in the United States, I realized Turkish TV industry, as you mentioned, became something big in the world, and we became the second biggest TV series exporter in the world. So it created an industry here. So before I leave, for instance, there was no industry 10 years ago, I can say, generally, because there were no union rules when I was working. There was no limits to working hours or to when to eat. But when I come back, I realized it was an industry with rules, because I made a short film before Noahland to test the production dynamics in Turkey. So I realized, the same rules we are having in the United States are happening here. So that fact actually was exciting for me, because I was not expecting it, because when you have an industry, then you have a better communication when it's about funding. Because when it's an industry, it means it's not only public funding. Some people are making money out there, so you can go and talk to them, those TV series producers. But Turkey has 2 basic public funds recently. One of them is the Ministry of Culture and Tourism, and the other one, which started recently, the Turkish National Television's funding. And also they started last year, as I know, if you are a Turkish producer who wants to produce an international production, you can get money from Turkish National Television. This is something new, because this was not happening before. If you are a producer who wants to produce an international production, you are not like able to get any funding. But of course, because it's an industry, and now the number of independent films being made in a year, I'm going to include the commercial film, like just for the sake of talk, I'm going to call them for commercial films. Unfortunately, the number of films like for a year is like increasing, like dramatically increasing. So it is becoming more competitive for these fundings. So even if you apply, sometimes you cannot get it. And a new problem which is happening due to this pandemic, due to the pandemic, is like the economy of the countries are collapsing down, and Turkey is being negatively affected by this, as many other countries, and our exchange rate is very fluctuating. It's like changing a lot. So the money you raise even from the Ministry of Culture or for Turkish National Television is becoming like low. I can give you an example actually. Like if you are getting, let's say for your film, 1 million Turkish lira, last year you were like, or 3 years ago, you were able to make it 300,000 euro, let's say, but now it's only 100,000 euro. So if you are working with like international crew like me, like I have a musician from Germany, I have an editor from Greece, I have a cinematographer from like Argentina, I have to pay them in international money, and the money I raise in Turkey is not covering them. So even if I love the fact that we have like 2 public funds, this like global economical changes in the world is affecting like very negatively us. So the international fundings are becoming more important for a production like mine, but it's also affecting them. So it's becoming an issue. So what I am nowadays considering, for instance, for this film I'm like developing now, is like I'm aware that there is not enough private funding in Turkey. Like there is not, and I don't see a reason why there is no, because if like from a producer's perspective or from a company perspective, like I can see like this is profitable. Like you can find a good mechanism which applies to these promising filmmakers or not established filmmakers, and then you fund them and you can get your like money back if it's the only goal. But I'm realizing something promising also last couple of years, when these filmmakers, like independent filmmakers, are getting international recognition from some film festivals, like institutions, these like TV series producers and some businessmen, business people from different backgrounds, because like, yes, COVID affected us negatively, but some industries like are like getting good money out of it, like the grocery stores or like online shopping. So like I am, for instance, trying to create some like communication between those people to encourage them, or making like investing in a film like attractive for them. But what's promising for me, I am like realizing more and more every day, some private investors are like approaching to independent filmmakers to support them. But now the situation in Turkey is like we have 2 basic public funds and not enough private funds. That's the summary, I think.
That's a very good input.
Yeah.
Cenk. I was not thinking to go to ask money at the grocery.
Yeah. Well, you got to put your business hat on, as you mentioned, Tedy, right?
But Tedy, it works. You should try, actually. I did it for my previous film. So you never know who's going to support you.
Yeah. So I'm going to pose a question to the both of you with regards to distribution. Because, I mean, Cenk, you touched on a question that I was going to ask, which is how funding has changed, you know, over the last 10, 20 years, and you know, with the difference in the exchange rate, as you mentioned, and with the development of the industry, especially in Turkey, you know, with the saturation of the TV series and the increase in commercial content. And this is kind of tied to the next question that I have, and I'll pose this to Tedy first, if you don't mind, which is, So Tedy, do you feel that streaming platforms like Netflix, like HBO and Amazon, for the type of content that you're making, is it something that's a positive? Is it a negative development? Is it on a wider scale, would you say it's positive or negative for independent artists, for film festivals? What are your thoughts on streaming platforms?
I believe that's a wonderful positive things that they are, but would be wonderful positive things that you would access them not for paying you 5,000 euro for 1 year or 2,000 euro for a documentary by streaming it, but if you would access their money for co-productions. Because right now, I'm glad that my film is on Netflix because I can convince other investors in Romania. It's like a proof. See, my film is on Netflix, but Netflix paid me few bucks. Let's put it like this: the extra thing would be to access and to make them see you as a not a niche. Okay, maybe Turkey or other big countries are seen differently, but Romania don't. We are a niche. Yeah, so I believe it's a very good statement that you have access to them in order to convince other investors that you can go even globally. Let's put it like this with your films. Also in Romania, Romanian films got more interest, let's say, from even Romanian audience, as they are more and more on the streaming platform. But the fees are going quite cheaply. Even the national television, let's say we have 2 or 3 channels like national. Actually, right now only one is national, but in the let's say 10 years ago, they would pay even few ten of thousands to take your film, and not on the first release, after cinema and all this stuff. Right now, you may make a cross if you get like few thousand and so on so. But I believe that even for the festivals, they will not die because okay, you are on a platform, yeah, Netflix and chill, but you feel the need to go outside and to see other kind of things and to have that social experience. Right now in the pandemic in Romania, the outside mini festivals were raising because we wanted to have that experience of seeing big of film in a big picture, yeah, and then the places were quite full of this. Now the thing is that how the smaller platforms that are raising more and more can fight with the big ones in terms of how may they or may not license them, what investors are them that you can promise them to become the next Netflix and so and so. And what I find here interesting in the platform field is making like specific like platforms for specific genre or specific kind of stories. I know that if I go there, I will find meditation film or horror or so and so. Not a big market like you have now on Netflix or HBO stuff. So I believe that it's a new business model that could include also the fundings from the private sector or from the national, yeah? Because like Cenk said, even in Romania we have some tax incentives which are quite high, like up to 45% if you come to produce here a foreign film. But from these funds, it would be interesting to see how much the state or those ministries who take them would drive them for Romanian production and independent production. But you know, I have a big laugh on my face each time I say this independent. Like, I swear I would love to not be independent, but we are all independent. Besides, let's say, a few big studios in US, I believe so. Maybe Czech can agree or disagree with me. Independent of what? We are all independent of money. The studios came. But otherwise, I didn't saw one Romanian or European producer who told me, no, you do the story in this way and this way because we will sell it that way or the other way. No, we are all, in fact, unfortunately, independent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with you. And I think also, Cenk, maybe you have something to say also about streaming platforms as, you know, maybe you can share your experience with your film and your thoughts about a streaming platform and how, you know, you view it, whether it's a positive or a negative for you in terms of funding or exposure.
Like our film is recently acquired by HBO, so it's being released by HBO in some regions of the world, and some other regions it is being finalized nowadays. So it's gonna be like we are gonna announce like where it's gonna be streaming for the rest of the world, like soon. Of course, it's a good like opportunity to have an outlet to share your film with the rest of the world, but. Like this, sometimes I feel like this decision the streaming platforms are making, like are too dependent on their algorithms. So when it is about the independent film, the decision is not happening that quick, and this is a bit like hurting in some sense because. Like for instance, I am observing nowadays, like our sales agents here in Turkey and in like in the world sales agent, they are saying like because of this like COVID, like the pandemic, like the content demand for the content is increasing. So like they are buying more content. But I remember a couple of years ago, like a professor of mine was saying, like one of these big platforms are like stopping to buy independent films because of these like some reasons, you know, like algorithms or some other things, or they are not like. I think the balance can come, and I think it's also responsibility for these big platforms, as Tedy is saying, who holds the money. They have a good opportunity to support like these filmmakers, you know, like they are making money because like we are all at home and watching like these platforms and like paying money, and they are making money and they are increasing like their like profits. They can share it, they can find like some creative ways to share it. Like I know sometimes they are announcing like, okay, this platform is doing this for like supporting the crew people in this country, but I think it might be something more like it can be bigger, the support, or more systemic. Like you can find a system that you can keep supporting these independent filmmakers, because in the end, these people, these independent filmmakers are the fuel, like who are producing the material which has a power to change what's being seen. So like in that sense, like I am expecting more from these platforms. Also, like I like the fact that like it's an outlet to share your film with the world. As we had a very bizarre, like a bad experience in the release, in our theatrical release, because we just released our film when it was announced the lockdown in Turkey because of the COVID. So in like 10 days, we got 50,000 audience, actually, number of audience, 50,000. And it was really good for an independent film. And our distributor increased the number of movie theaters which like screens our film. And we were so happy. And then it was locked down and it's gone. So the basic source of the return revenue for my investors are gone. So like I expect more from the platforms, and I also have some problems actually to finish with platforms. It's really not easy to find a film that you will love in one platform. So you have to have all of them to have something to watch. Sometimes I'm having really big trouble with finding something nice to watch for my taste. So I have to have like Amazon, Disney, and some of them are not available in Turkey, and like Netflix or like Apple. So I don't know what's the solution for this, but like in the end, I find myself spending more money to find something nice to watch in this place. So I want.
That's how they hook you in, right? That's the appeal.
Yeah,
that's the appeal.
Yeah.
And I wanna just kind of segue. You guys mentioned, obviously the effect that COVID has had, in an indirect way or maybe a direct way. But Tedy, I'd like to ask you this. So how do you feel post-COVID the industry has changed, and how has that affected your creative process? Has it affected your creative process? Have you, given the fact that obviously COVID has affected the world in a bad way economically and financially, how that obviously that effect is going to, trickle down to artists, and it's going to affect all kinds of industries. So would you say that this, has altered your creative process, or has altered your strategy with the kind of content that you want to create so that you can stay afloat, maybe,
Obviously, like I was in February in Berlin, in the European film market, to find some co-productions for my next feature film. And then the lockdown appeared, and of course all the contacts were frozen. And I said, okay, this year is not a good year for making a new film. So I switched, of course, as a businessman, a little businessman then the time, to other kind of content, online courses or something like this, or preparing the concepts for other projects in the expectance of the next year that perhaps will be better than this. But of course, all the, let's say, production plans were drowning more. And, I don't do only films. Basically, I have an agency to create this inspirational content for brands, and I do films when I have the money. So I don't cut my throat if I can do the film that year, but I wouldn't expect many more. But yes, I believe that right now you have to be more, to try more to convince the producers to invest and to show that, okay, it's a crisis, but if you invest in this is your ticket. Otherwise, in other countries, I hear that it's a lot of shootings out there and stuff like this. But for me, for an independent producer, which never made more than 100,000 or 200,000 out from my work, I have to handle what I do in the present and putting the films, beside my main goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I know it's not good to say this in a film festival, but it's a reality that makes us available to do films next year.
Of course. And Cenk, your thoughts? I mean, you mentioned the effect COVID had, in a positive way and a negative way, or rather the lockdown, not COVID, had on how your film was viewed. Would you say that it has changed your strategy, or has changed the way that you think about, how are you going to make your next film, or where your funding source is going to come from, versus also, and where your return is going to come from?
Actually, I think it has changed how I will make my next film. It has changed in this way, because like if COVID didn't come and lock down this country like as many others, the box office revenue we are getting was covering the investors who invested on our film like very generously. So I was feeling really good that like we would like after waiting couple of years, because it takes some time making the first film, you know. So like after waiting some years, we were finally be able to pay what they invested with their premiums, and like I was feeling really good. And then the first week's number were like really nice, and like we were updating them, and they were so like happy about it. But then it's locked down, and then when we were because of the past statistics, our distributors say, okay, with these numbers we are aiming 500,000 audience in like next 8 weeks. So it's nice. So we were calculating and we were saying, okay, this is gonna happen. And then COVID came, and then my investors waited 3 years, and now they're still waiting, because like because in Turkey theatrical release still a very big source for films like ours, because the money you make for each ticket is still high, like compared to some other like countries. So for instance, now I am not able to go back to my investors who really had good time with the journey of the film, because they loved the festivals circulation, the festivals we went together, and then the red carpet experience they had, and finally they were waiting their money, but now it's not coming. And also I understand they are not like big millionaires, they have like money and like sharing some of their like money with like artists, and now maybe they will not be able to like support me in that sense. So like I have to find new people or like new like sources of like fund. Of course, like I will, like as other filmmakers will try every possible like public funds, but I know some countries are decreasing the number like of the support, and I can understand it. So it's going to be more competitive. So it's gonna be tougher, but at least now, as Tedy like refers like and mentions sometimes, because I have something to show, like a first film, it's easier to find someone to sit at the same table, especially in Turkey. So for instance, like my in the United States, because of my like past there. So like my strategy is, of course, I'm gonna like contact these people who already invested in my film, the first film, and I will ask if they are still able to like support. That's gonna be them, and I will try to create an opportunity for them, which I'm not gonna give to other people just because they supported for the first film. So they have something nicer than the other people because they are not getting their money immediately. And hopefully in the coming years, like they are getting it, but not immediately. So like I will try to give them some like incentives, some like opportunities, some chances that other investors cannot get. I will start with them, then I will go to some new people I met during the journey of this film. So like this is gonna be my strategy, and I know how it will be very competitive for the public funds in Turkey and in some like other countries because I'm in touch with some possible co-producers for the next film. So I know I'm hearing them, it's becoming really competitive in that country as well. So it's going to be like a guerrilla style of like I will just sit with my team and think like maybe I should write to Yazan. Maybe there is something in their country they can. Maybe I should write to Tedy. Tedy can bring some. Like I will do like be very like guerrilla style funding for the next one.
Yeah. No, actually, this is a really nice segue. I mean, the time has flown by. We've got 10 minutes left of today's chat. And this is a really nice segue actually to my final question for you guys, which is Tedy, what advice do you have? And it's a number of of different avenues here. So what advice would you have firstly to a filmmaker just entering the market today, looking to make their first film, be a short or most probably a short actually, And also, what advice would you have to give for a funding organization looking to maybe change their strategy in light of where we are today?
Yes, I can start with the second, for the funding. My email is Tedy at Necula.agency. And I have a lot of projects. No, I joke. I don't joke, but still, for the filmmakers entering the industry, first do your film. Even it's not that biggest budget, biggest story that you want to do, but do that story that is your business card, and you can afford with a little more help for the others, but a little more help, you afford to do it and create an impact, because that will be your business card. I know directors, wanna-be directors, who waited for 30 years to do their first film, but be the film. It's not gonna happen. Do your magic in a simple but impactful story, and we all have that film that we can show from big directors who did the same. And then don't forget to stick to your ideas. I don't call them dreams, I call them projects. I'm a businessman. Stick to the stories that you help your audience to grow. But first, do all the things you can to do it, and to do it in a proper time. Even this is 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 7. But do it. That's the advice. And for the finance, and also for the producers, let's in the 12, 12 clock, like we say, let's see in other ways the production versus distribution process, because we can do a film with less money, but let's help producers to sell the film and to make the selling. The film is not only art, it's a product. Let's learn to create a market, as America knows better. Let's create value, maybe with less money in production. Don't hate me, but I believe this. But more money in promotion and delivery for it. And of course, my email is mail@tedynicula.com.
I'll make sure to share your email. We'll just put it on the Sharjah website, on the Sharjah Film Platform website. And the same question to you to wrap up, Cenk.
Mm-hmm. So for the filmmakers, like actually I share a lot with Tedy about like this is a business, because that was a moment that I was feeling really disappointed after finishing the film and like picture lacking, and then I realized it's a product for so many people, which is like supposed to be sold. And then I felt bad about it, but then I realized no, this is the fact I have to embrace, and I have to find my way, like knowing this. So it's really important. Yes, we are trying like to make an art form, like trying to make an art, but in the end, it's an art which is tied to so many like selling outlets. So like it should be like, for instance, I was reading Haneke's book, Haneke on Haneke, and he was talking about this. I'm always aware that in the end, my film is gonna be sold, and it shouldn't be boring, you know, because it's not like books. You cannot put it aside. You have to like, you cannot put it aside and continue. If you don't like it, they will like shut it off. So we have to be aware that it's something for audience, but of course it shouldn't affect our like creative decisions. So what I would say for like filmmakers, like what I am doing, I'm seeing the whole process as a writing a script, because even this creative strategies to raise money is a creative thing. You can find a way that nobody tried before, which could work for you. Like for instance, maybe somebody tried this, but we tried something like this with a friend of mine. So I was having like a financial like struggle at some point, and like I wanted to focus on my film, and I called one of my like wealthy friends and I said, you know what, I want to give you an opportunity to invest in a promising film. So, and the beauty of it, you don't have to give your money like in like one lump sum. You can give me like every month. So like I was trying to solve the problem of like my monthly payments of rent and like thing. So in the end, for 2 years, he paid me like a certain amount per month. And then in the end, it was a good amount of investment for him. And he was paying my writer's salary actually in the end. So I really like this. For instance, I am really considering to go to people to offer this, but not for me this time, for my company, because the sustainability of the company, because companies have these costs that should be taken care of. Maybe so like I'm going to finish with my suggestion to filmmakers. So this is a writing creative process. So you should write, as you're writing a script, you should write the journey of this like financial like journey. You should write it for institutions and like for investors or for this funding opportunities. Like mostly like I'm realizing, another thing I can say, for instance, like for filmmakers, you may not raise money from this institution or that institution or from this government, but there are ways to make people work. Like you can pay somehow, like you can make a deferred payment. You can tell them we will work, and in the end, when the film makes money, I'm gonna pay you. There are so many creative people who would like to be a part of a beautiful film that who are ready to accept this. Or like you can say, like I have this limited amount, and like I saw this by one of my professors did this. I have this amount of money, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pay everyone same. And in the end, like everyone's same. So everybody knows that this person is getting $50 per week. In the end, like you will have a salary of this total amount, but your real salary is gonna be your share of the ownership of the film. So you can like make those people the owner of your film, for instance. So like when I say you should write these like journey for your film, it's like you can find a way to make a film. Like there is no excuse if you want to make a film. Of course, it's becoming harder, but if you want to make a film, you can find a way. For institutions, like they mostly like support filmmakers or like as script development or the film project. But maybe it might be really smart. By the way, like when I got this invitation about this talk, I really like this sustainability of the production companies, like independent production companies, because it's an issue which is really big out there. Like, but we are not talking about. Maybe the institutions can like find an approach to these like other money makers, like some people, investors, because for institutions it's easier to approach them, these business people, and then like convince them and make it very attractive for them to create something to support these like startup as like angel investors, to start up independent companies in the first 5 years of their life or in the first 10 years of their life. Because I know just because we are not able to cover monthly payments of like the taxes or some like insurance things, it's becoming really hard to like survive. So maybe institutions can have like some models and can use their leverage, like the prestige of their like existence, to approach some big business people or big companies, not from film industry, to convince them to support like this company who's gonna be a home for filmmakers, producers, and like writers and directors. So this is what I could say.
Yeah, that's certainly. I hope that this is a direction that we will be seeing in the near future, especially with the changes that we've been experiencing in the industry and in the world. I really appreciate, again, time has flown by. I really appreciate both of you, Cenk and Tedy, and for taking the time to come and talk to us. We are very grateful for this. For those of you at home, thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for the rest of the events at the Sharjah Film Platform. Please check our website and please tune in for the remaining talks that will take place tomorrow and the day after. Thank you once again, Cenk, and thank you, Tedy. And I'll make sure, Tedy, to put your email address up on the website.
No, it was good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cenk.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.